Well, that race at a Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the Truck Series was definitely interesting, that's for sure. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. I just got done watching the Buck Up 200 from Las Vegas Motor Speedway, the third race in the NASCAR Truck Series calendar. I have to say, while we had a dominating truck and one race car driver ended up winning the race and deserving driver ended up winning the race, this race still was pretty entertaining regardless, where we saw a lot of wrecks and definitely some good battles over on the racetrack, and the restarts were definitely crazy. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. Coming into this race had a lot of intrigue because Marcus Lemonis this previous week sent out a tweet basically challenging a lot of race car drivers who were unsponsored to basically get sponsored for the event. 9 trucks tonight were sponsored by Camping World. Jordan Anderson, Rafael Lessard, Sheldon Creed, Dawson Cram, Parker Kligerman, Tyler Hill, both of the Rain Brother trucks, Jesse Woogie, BJ McLeod, and I can't remember the other truck that was sponsored by Camping World tonight. Grant Enfinger as well really started the whole thing. 9 trucks coming in the event had Camping World. And the winner, I think it was like top 10, got like 25,000. Getting in the event, he got 15,000. So that was a big intrigue coming in the event. Marcus Lemonis was basically sponsoring a bunch of unsponsored trucks. So this race had a lot more intrigue around that front. You also had a lot of intrigue in this event too because Kyle Busch was once again racing a truck race, so that's not overall really fun. It's still interesting when Kyle Busch runs because he's going to start in the back and you think he's going to generally drive up in the front. So anyway, let's go ahead and jump straight into the race review and talk about the race and then jump into the results and then go through my score of tonight's race review. So let's start off with this. So on the pole tonight, you had Sheldon, I think it was Ben Rose on the inside, and you had John Hunter Nemechek on the Sheldon Creed on the outside. Ben Rose was starting on the pole. Ben Rose's car at the beginning was absolutely awful. He would drop to back, and Sheldon Creed was able to get the race lead early, and he would dominate the early portions of the race. The first caution would come out on lap 3 for the 0-4 Corey Roper. I think he got loose coming off of turn number 4. He would spin early in the race on the transition coming down off the baking, and he would spin, bringing out the first caution of the race. On the ensuing restart on lap number 7, John Hunter Nemechek in the Ford truck basically was able to take the race lead, and he drove off into the sunset, and he dominated the next portion of this race. Meanwhile, you had a driver named Kyle Busch who started 29th, who was already making his move up to the front, and they had other intriguing stories going around at this time. You had other drivers that were having driveline issues like Kyle Busch, and then there were some issues, I think, for Sheldon Creed as well in the early stages of this race. And coming off of turn 40 ends stage 1, John Nemechek would end up winning stage 1. Sheldon Creed finished second. Matt Crafton gets third. Kyle Busch would finish 4th in the stage. Stuart Friesen 5th. Grant Enfinger finished 6th. David Gillen would finish 7th. 99 Ben Rose finishes 8th. Chandler Swift would finish 9th. And Grant Enfinger in the 9 truck tonight with the Cody Roybaugh team, who had a really good run tonight, he would finish 10th in the first stage of tonight's race. Then we go into stage 2 of this race, and pit stops happen. And Kyle Busch would go on the radio and say that he would have a driveline problem, and we would see a lot of smoke from Kyle Busch on the ensuing restarts. During the beginning of the run, Sheldon Creed, who was up front running in the top 5 of the race, he had a plug wire issue. He would basically drop to back. It looked like he was having an engine problem. He had no oil pressure, but he ended up having a plug wire issue, and he would have to come down pit road during the caution later in the race to get that fixed. They would be able to get that fixed. Meanwhile, also, you had Zane Smith. He would have an issue where I think he got some contact when he was battling David Gillen really hard. He would have to come down pit road. That would take him out of contention. Also, Derek Krause early in the race, so he would have an issue and was never really able to bounce back and recover race. I think he finished like 7 or 8 laps down in this event. And then we go green the rest of the way, and Kyle Busch would drive up to John Nemechek, and he would end up passing John Nemechek with around 7 or 8 laps to go in stage 2, and he would drive up and win stage 2 here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. So Kyle Busch would drive all the way from the back up to the front and would take the lead in stage 2 and dominate that front. And then we go racing on lap 68, back racing on lap 68 of the event, and then the next caution race would come out around lap 70. Connor Daly was passing really hard. It was a 4-wide battle. Haley Deegan made a really big move up on that high side, and the air got sucked around, and Connor Daly would end up wrecking Tyler Hill in the 56, one of the Camping World trucks, and Sheldon Creed, 2 of the Camping World trucks. As a matter of fact, who ended up, Connor Daly hit that outside wall really hard. Thank God he's okay, and thank God safety in NASCAR has gone a long way, because if that would have been in the 90s, he would not be all right. But great to see that Connor Daly was absolutely right, and it was good to see him walk out of the car and be okay. He basically said that he was inexperienced. He really never felt something like that. He thought he got hit, and he said it's just inexperience in his post-race interview. So he really didn't know overall what was going on. We then go back racing on lap 76 with John Hunter Nemechek being the race leader. I think Stuart Friesen actually was leader. Then John Hunter got back by him. And then the next caution in this race will come out for the 18 of Chandler Smith. Chandler Smith, I think he ended up having an axe coming off turn 2. I think there was potentially some, I think he actually got sideways. I thought there was contact between him and Dawson Cram. I thought originally as well. But then he would have an issue and it would spin off non-contact for Dawson Cram. And that would bring out the next caution of this event. We then go back racing on lap 84 of this event with John Nemechek once again being a race leader of this event. And then, while passing Chandler Smith, Kyle Busch ends up having a flat tire. Now, that he apparently had like a tire wear for like 20 or 30 laps at this point, and Kyle Busch would end up basically having a flat tire, and then he intentionally pulls Spin Gate 2.0, and what drivers have done is sometimes they bring out caution out intentionally. He would spin out intentionally and bring out the caution with around 50 laps to go. He would end up going a lap down in this race, and we thought that Kyle Busch, who was one of the cars that was in contention for the win, we thought that Kyle Busch was going to be out of contention to go for the overall win of this race. But that would not be the case, as a few laps later in this event, around 10 laps later in the event, with around 36 laps to go in the race, Rafael Starr makes kind of a bonehead move. Even his spotter was kind of calling him out on the broadcast. They basically said, well, his spotter basically said that Rafael basically cleared himself. His spotter was like, you're not clear. He would get some contact from David Gillen because he came down to him. And unfortunately, a lot of cars got involved. Haley Deegan, who was actually up in the top 15 at the time, she had an issue. She was falling back, but she had an issue. She would be involved. Sheldon Cree would be involved. David Gillen and Austin Wayne Self, the 24 Rafael Starr, Brett Holmes in their debut. I forgot he was racing tonight. And Ryan Truex would also be involved in the wreck. We then go back racing on lap 104, and there was some strategy going on at the time at this point. You had John Nemechek, who made a really, really impressive move. He would overall take the race lead and dominate the rest of this race. He would end up taking the race lead and dominating the next portion. But then the next caution came on. Kyle Busch is making his way up to the front. That was a big thing we were watching, is how long and how far could Kyle Busch get up. He was around up to 8th place at a time, and then around 20 laps to go in the race, the 04 car spun off as a contact. I think it was from the 34 BJ McCall, 33 Jesse Busch, one of the Ray Brothers trucks. He was spun off contact for him, and Tyler Hill would get involved. Both those drivers would be out of the race from the contact overall in the race. We then go back racing on lap 112 of this race with 122 of the race, around 13 laps to go into the event. And Kyle Busch had made his way up and made some really, really impressive moves, and he got back up to the front. And then a few laps later, the final caution in this race would come out. Chase Purdy got a little bit sideways, battling forward on the backstretch. He would get into Jordan Anderson, and then Jordan Anderson would drop down to the bottom of the racetrack, and that would take out him. And I think it was Tyler Ankrum as well. Yeah, Tyler Ankrum, he would have an issue, would get involved in that wreck, and that would take him out of contention. Tyler Ankrum and Jordan Anderson. I think Jordan Anderson continued for Tyler Ankrum's night was over. And then the final run of the race came up with 6 laps to go, and it was going to be like, can Kyle Busch get around John Hunter Nemechek in this race? And it did not happen. John Nemechek put up a really impressive run tonight, and he held off Kyle Busch, the best in the game in the Truck Series. When he raced in the Truck Series, basically a leech. But Kyle Busch was able not to pass John Nemechek. It was a really good, definitely interesting battle to see if John was able to block that line. He was able to do that. And coming off the final corner, John Nemechek puts up a clinic in a dominating fashion, and John Hunter Nemechek is your winner here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Let me just say this for the record. For people in the Truck Series, you need to watch out, because if John Nemechek has good equipment in anything, he is really, really good. He's won with his dad. I've been impressed at times when he's raced. This race was arguably one of the most impressive races. Even Kyle Busch is giving a lot of praise in his post-race interview. I mean, he said he was giving a lot of praise to John Nemechek. And I think John Nemechek is arguably one of the favorites. I think he's arguably the favorite to win the NASCAR Truck Series Championships here. I mean, Sheldon Creed and a lot of those guys should definitely be a warrior right now, because that was an absolute dominating perfection for this race. I think John Hunter led like 100 last night. He led 94 laps in tonight's Truck Series event. So he put up a really, really big dominating fashion. He was your winner of tonight's race. Congratulations to John Hunter Nemechek on winning his first race of 2021. Now let's go through the results of tonight's race. Let's talk about the Camping World trucks, tell you who was the best of the Camping World trucks. So Johnny Nemechek wins a dominating fashion tonight. Kyle Busch finished his second comeback after intentionally spinning. Comes back and finished his second. Still a great comeback for Kyle Busch. Austin Hill finished third. Austin Hill had to start in the back as well. He was able to drive up the third. Great run for Austin Hill. Stuart Friesen with a pretty impressive run in 4th place. Stuart Friesen last year struggled in the mile and a half. He bounced back to 4th place run. Great run for Stuart Friesen tonight. Matt Crafton, top 5, ran top 5 most of the day. Great run for Matt Crafton. Zane Smith bounces back and finishes 6th after having to come down pit road contact for David Gillen. He bounces back to a top to run in 6th. Great comeback for Zane Smith. 7th place goes over to Grant Enfinger. Grant Enfinger was the highest finisher of the drivers of the Camping World banner. He will get, I think, $20 or $25,000 extra. I think like $25,000 he's going to get. Great run for Grant Enfinger. Parker Kligerman, another driver, is going to get another $25K for that team. He finishes 8th tonight. Great run for Parker Kligerman. 9th place goes to Christian Eckes. He was making some impressive moves tonight, but he gets a 9th place run. Great run for Christian Eckes. And finishing 10th tonight is Ben Rose. And I don't think he's a points leader anymore, but he finishes 10th tonight in this race. Brett Moffitt finishes 11th. Tanner Gray finishes 12th. 13th place goes over to Ty Gillen. 14th place, Austin Wayself. 15th goes to Johnny Sauter. 16th place goes over to Timothy Peters. 17th place goes to Danny Bone. 18th, Sheldon Creed. 19th, Chandler Smith. And Tay Fogelman finishes at 20th in tonight's race. Dawson Graham, 21st. 22nd, Spencer Boyd. 23rd, Chase Purdy. 24th, Carson Osberg. 25th, Chris Wright. 26th goes to BJ McLeod. 27th place goes to Jordan Anderson. 28th, Haley Deegan. 29th, Jennifer Jo Kopp. 30th, Raphael Sarth. 31st goes to Jesse Wuji. 32nd, Derek Krause. 33rd, Norm Benning. 34th place goes to Tyler Ingham. 35th goes to Tyler Hill. 36th, Corey Roper. 37th, Brett Holmes. 38th, Ryan Truex. 39th place goes to David Gillen. And finishing last in tonight's race is IndyCar driver Connor Daly. So now let's go through and give you my score of tonight's race. Even though this race was dominated by John Nemechek, and he did have long green flag stretches, the restarts, in my opinion, of tonight's race really saved this race. If there were not a lot of restarts in this event, I would have given this tonight's score probably a 6 or a 7. I'm going to be around that, well, actually probably a 5 or a 6. I'm going to give tonight's Truck Series event overall an 8 out of 10. Yes, he had long green flag runs, and you did see some really good battling throughout the field as well. But in my opinion, even though John Nemechek dominated, it didn't feel like a dominating fashion race, and it was still overall a definitely entertaining race with all the crashes as well. And I think I'm going to give you my score, 8 out of 10. That is my score for tonight's race at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Once again, huge congratulations to John Nemechek for scoring his first win of 2021. So, anyway, that is going to be for tonight for tonight's race review of the Bucked Up 200 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe to the channel, notifications so you can be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Links description below for that, and comment your thoughts on tonight's race. What would you give tonight's score of the race? Let me know in the comments below. And congratulate John Nemechek on winning his first race of 2021. Do that in the comments below for me. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you like, so YouTube can recommend more of these great videos out to you guys. If you do that, I would greatly and truly appreciate it. Anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching tonight's video, and I'll see you guys next time for more great content. Take care, everybody. Starting a great video tomorrow morning, and then we'll talk about the Xfinity Series race later that evening. So, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Take care, everybody.